Hi everyone, welcome to the second edition of Women Techmakers Montreal Podcast. I'm Stefania, and with me there is Letizia.
Yay! Hello everyone, I'm Letizia, or you can call me Lechis or Lechi. I'm Women Techmakers Ambassador and also volunteer here at Women Techmakers Montreal. I'm currently joining from Brazil. I was in the previous edition in Italy, but right now it's easy because we are in a closer time zone.
She's international. She's really international.
No. So yeah, today we are going to explore UX, UI, and design, and we have two amazing guests with us to share their experiences, challenge, and impact in this space.
Yeah, so Alexandra, Maddalena, thank you for being here today. I will say, instead of introducing you, you can introduce yourself so you can tell us how amazing you are.
Thank you very much. So thank you for inviting us. So I'm Alexandra. I've got a PhD in human-computer interaction. My PhD was about persuasive design. So like gamification and ethics was already part of my thesis. I worked for 15 years as a UX designer for industry. So I worked for big software companies like SAP, Cisco, Sage. But I specialized 7 years ago as UX designer for video game companies. So I worked in South Korea. I joined in Montreal Ubisoft, Square Enix, Sony PlayStation. And since I started last year as a professor and researcher at university, now at ETS, so University of Quebec, as a UX and video game professor.
So very nice. Alexandra, I'm very interested in knowing more about you. Hi, my name is Madalena Costa. Everyone calls me Maddie, so feel free to call me that. I am a product experience and AI strategist. I specialize in digital systems, but where people don't want to leave. That's basically where I am, like retention, activation, and so on. I have more than 8 years of experience working across SaaS, research, design systems, marketing, communication, products that are AI, not AI. I basically blend strategy, UX, and innovation to turn complexity into clarity and business growth. Besides that, I am an international speaker. I've spoken for the US, Germany, UK, and so on. And I'm also leader for Ladies at UX Lisbon. And I'm also an ambassador for Google Women Techmakers, but in Portugal, not in Canada. But
that's amazing.
Yeah.
We are all international.
Yeah. Yes. And yes, my work specifically draws from behavioral design, human-centered AI, and a broader reflection on AI rules in society, specifically also with imposter syndrome, within how it's bringing a lot of imposter syndrome to AI, which it's completely the opposite of what we were talking about. So yeah, this is a little bit about me. I love technology. I have a cat. He's not here right now because it wouldn't be good if he was here. But yeah.
Can we avoid speaking about cats? Because I have 2 cats here, and I hope they have just eat what they have to eat, because otherwise they will start saying meow.
Yeah,
2 cats also.
This is my cat.
It's a great start.
I'm getting a baby one. I'm waiting to go meet him. I want him so bad. This one needs company. It's too much for me. He doesn't leave me alone. It's a problem. You will hear if you hear. I hope not, but in a bit he's going to start running through the door because he wants to get in. It's not good.
Zoomies.
Yeah, a lot.
Okay, so it's interesting. So basically, Alexandra, I don't know when you worked for Square Enix, because maybe we were working at the same time.
That's funny. Okay.
Because I also worked for Square Enix for some time. And Maddalena, it's interesting because you mentioned AI strategies, which is one of my hats too. So I'm very interested in knowing a little more about that. So today we talk about UX, artificial intelligence, technology in general. And when we talk also about UX and user, we know that when we build something, we want to create the perfect tool for the perfect product for the users. But then there are some business goals, some ROI, some budget. So what is your experience in that context? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, sure. As a UX designer, for sure. So we need to provide some experience. And if you are in the user shoes, user will not ask for more ads or sales or this kind of things. So it's a balance to find, because of course the website, for instance, needs to make some revenue. But I would always say that it's usability first. So imagine you enter to a website and there's a big banner, but you cannot even see what you're here for, like the fields and everything. So that's also negotiation sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I've got also some anecdote from video game, because so I worked on some project like mobile ones. So it's like free to play. So of course it means that the game needs to do some revenues. So I had like a lot of discussions. So me as a UX designers, but with game economic designers, so try to negotiate things. So for instance, they wanted to suggest to players that every day they would have like a reward, but increasing reward, to have a streak, this kind of things. So I was documenting that a lot, showing examples, articles and everything, showing that it's bad. It's bad for mental health and everything, so that there is other ethic approaches for that is better, and to avoid also like backlash, this kind of things. So I succeed to negotiate that. So there was a reward, but it was like a simple, small one that was regular also. So by proving, explaining, sometimes it's possible to negotiate.
Yeah. So I would say that there's a lot of challenges when it comes to balance all of the different stakeholders. Specifically to me, I worked with different departments, actually all of the departments. Since I worked for a startup, it's a bit different. And I guess what I saw from the experience that I had for different startups is often the invisible imposter syndrome in that sense, that most teams, when they're starting to share with other stakeholders their expertise, they think that their own insights are not expert enough or are not good enough to share, and then, or the other way around, where we are sharing numbers, we are sharing everything correctly, but the other way around says that, no, what I want is this because I think this is better. And then it complicates again. Even when designers or even PMs ignore their own intuition, usually it's the product that suffers. Sometimes it can be very tricky because you have to balance intuition with data and you have to have hypotheses worth testing. Sometimes it's, and you get to a point where you can start to feel dumb when interacting with complex interfaces, for example, or even right now with the whole boom of the AI, how to make the AI-driven tools that have the same strength that you did previously with how you do it right now. And I guess it's not only like a UX flaw, so to say, but also an equity issue. I think so. If technology makes people feel small, excluded, or dependent, it also reinforces like a systematic gap. And then again, you have the product suffering. So I would say that there needs to be more layers to it and more understanding of how we can use the insights with intuition, but also with having the user there. Because it happens a lot with startups where there's no users. There's just the company, the team, and there's others that you have users, and how you can leverage that and see. I guess that's where there's a lot of decisions that needs to be made. And if something goes wrong, it falls usually on designers, I would say.
Yeah, I can really relate to that. It's like a difficult task. I'm in a project right now and using this kind of gamification, and we constantly need to negotiate between what users are asking for and what makes sense for the project, and it's hard. Sometimes we need to prioritize not just new features, but we also need to balance with user feedback. And connecting to this point, turning messy customer insights into product decisions is never easy. So how have you used data or research design experiences people actually want to come back to, like AI products or even video games? What do you think about that?
So I would say that there's a really good way to understand where are the blocks in different scenarios. And I like to use something that it's called retention flywheel, or even I've created now a version of it with the AI because it's a bit different in that sense. But for the retention flywheel, which is online, it's instead of the funnel that we usually see, it's a flywheel because it goes around and everything changes. So you always have to keep iterating. And I think it's very interesting to think about this when making product decisions, because it helps you see the different processes, not only where the target is, the target audience or the users are, because there are some users that know how to use the tool right away and there's users who don't. So how can you, from that scenario, from that flywheel, see where are we missing or what we can add and when we can add? For example, to activate the user, the first step, you need to have a strong onboarding that relates to it. But how can you build an onboarding that is good for the user and not overwhelming for the user? That's why it's important to really go into deep into this and to understand it. There's also different layers to it. There's messy towards, like you were saying, the customer insights and so on. How can we actually know when to use, what to use, how to use it, and so on? That's like in my opinion, that's like the toughest challenge. And it gets really tension between speed and empathy. And businesses often want to go very fast, but they don't have a strategy to go. And they don't want a feature. So there's a lot of problems happening right now where they launch feature. There was an interview with the founder that they asked him, why this tool was built with AI? And he was saying, yes, why? And he was saying, what was the strategy? What is this feature? He could not tell what the feature was. And that's where it gets like blurry. How can you build confidence, clarity, and trust with your users if you don't even know what you're building? What's this future? And I come from a marketing background, so I learned to always ask. I'm always asking. And I always try to ask, like, does this decision strengthen the relationship between the user or it weakens? In this case, it weakened a lot. You could look at that application and see right away that it was without any thought. It was just like launch. And that's like short-term thought. Usually we have to think long-term. And I guess from experiences from even friends that I have, when they work for big companies, and Alexandra, let me know if this is not true for your case as well, because I'm interested to know. When you have plan for a long time, it's not something like you plan today and tomorrow it's going to be 100% different. On contrary, on startups, today can be this, tomorrow a completely different thing. And it happens a lot. And this is good and bad. Good because we manage to see what actual sticks and what actual doesn't stick. There's also a really good company called Monday that does a lot of A/B testing. Not even A/B, more than A/B testing. Like they have different pages, landing pages for different people and different computer. You can all be in the same network, but you'll be able to see like 3 different landing pages or 4 different landing pages, and it's all the same link, but it's different for them to test it. So they do this because they target the right person. For a computer, for example, a colleague of mine was a developer. The Monday that he saw was Monday Dev. For me, since I'm not a developer, was project management. So it's very interesting because I will be more prone to use it after that. And especially because Monday is it can be a very tough tool to use because there's a lot of things to do. It's very, very heavy in that sense. So they need to be smart about it. And I think they are smart about it. And they use this as a business outcomes through prioritization frameworks. So they prioritize the user in this sense. And that will give them kind of like a translation layer, if that makes sense. Like it means not just shipping because someone asked for it, but actually they are shipping because it fits into a system that they are building with the different users that creates both user loyalty and growth. I love this. I could keep talking for hours about this, but this is more or less what I would say that we should start to see like the flywheel, and then from the flywheel see what is missing. From what is missing, focus on the toughest challenges that will actually help the user to continue there.
On my side, so for sure, so in the different industries I work as a UX designer, that was my chance, I think, to work with different departments. So of course, like working with analytics, tracking, telemetry teams was always useful. We're working, so the more we know about users, it's the best to provide like good experience, try to find solutions. So yeah, the more data we have, it's the best. And UX side, it's good because we can bring like the human aspect, the story behind that. So not only number, but the why. I was thinking about the fact that, so you were mentioning messy. So that's true that ideally, when we ask questions to users or to players, it's not that we are going to ask them the solutions. So we are trying to know more about the problems they encounter. And as designer, we will try to find the best solution to answer that. So sometimes it's a in-between solution, knowing what we can do with the tech, programmation side, with other department too. So that's also interesting. And for sure, like I will take other examples from video games. So that's very difficult since maybe the game director design had a perfect idea in mind, but you never know what the player will do since it's interactive. They can take some paths you didn't imagine and so on. So that's why like trying to have good data, measure well the different possibilities, that's really good. And I always think that based on that, on the findings that we have based on the users data and everything, so it's good because we can also bring like innovation sometimes, so problem, constraints and everything, and from that can emerge like some wonderful features. So me too, I think it's really great.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I remember that one of the company where I work, we had this challenge where, so I was the data person, and then I was collaborating with the UX researcher and the production side. So at some point, the production was not expecting something in the game that was happening, and we were able, thanks to this conversation among the three, to first of all capture what is happening, to explain to UX researcher, and then to match in something that was explainable and profitable for the production to decide, okay, we can put this feature now, we agree. So it's interesting, and it's also like interesting to see how you can at some point use artificial intelligence with other disciplines. And of course, when we talk about design and we talk about creativity, now artificial intelligence is used more and more. I know that it depends on the level. It's not always easy to use it in production, for example. But however, there are some tools that can be used along the way. So my question is, first of all, how do you see AI in your daily work? How is it helping you? Do you consider it as a support or something you think you are a little afraid of? And do you have any example how you can use AI in your disciplines?
Yeah, so on my side, I really see AI as a tool, like an assistant, I guess. So of course, it can help us to save a bit of time sometimes to try to generate more ideas or try to, write a scenario, a first draft, like in a faster way. But of course, after that, the team or I will need to review that, to fix, to correct. So that's where the ambivalence for me is, because also I've got, you have to be careful about the source, because sometimes like AI is saying something wrong. So in general, it makes you save a bit of time. So I don't see that as a threat. Of course, it's an opportunity. We need to live with that. But I would be careful. And I try also to teach that to students that everything is true. So the metaphor that I use is to say that AI is like a child who never admit that he's wrong, but would always have an answer to say. And it's even worse than that, because sometimes he prefers to answer something wrong instead of having like zero. So try a chance to say something. So that's another part. And lastly, so because ethic is very important for me, so I've got problem with that because sometimes like algorithm can be a bit biased, as you know, maybe when you generate images. So it's not about like inclusivity, diversity yet. So I hope it's gonna improve for that. And same just for about sustainability. Of course, I use it. I try to not use it too much. I try also to teach that to students because it has a cost about energy, because servers, they need to be called. So text is kind of okay, but generating image or video is very costly. So I hope, they just have that in mind that, okay, they can use it, but somewhere it has a cost too. So we don't have to use it all the time also.
Yeah, I agree. And also it can get to a point where your constructive criticism or thinking even becomes slower, becomes needy. So you need something to give you in order for you to do a task. It will lose your trust in yourself as well. That's why I like to talk about imposter syndrome as well, because it gets to a point that you start to think, okay, I don't think GPT is right, or Gemini, or whatever it is, but it's saying that it's right. So am I wrong? And, there's a lot of people. There's a specific situation that happened a few days ago where a person that I didn't know from nowhere came running to me. There was a context for her to come running to me, but she came running to me because she was saying that, I have to tell you something. I've been using GPT for everything. I feel so dumb, and now I need someone to talk with. I need to go to a psychologist or something like this because I cannot stop. And this is the case of one person that I know specifically that came to me, but there's multiple people that started to think like this, started to lose this. But at the same time, it can be a really resourceful tool if used with intention. And it should be used with intention, with everything that exists. Figma, for example, it didn't exist. Now we can use it with intention. When we used to use the Adobe tool, which personally I don't love it, but there's a company that still do. And there's other tools that we used to use before Figma that we used with intention. And now Figma we use with intention, and Figma AI we use with intention. So it needs to have a reason to use and not just use it to use it. Last year, I think it was last year, I talked at a conference and I was talking about how to create your process while using AI and how to get intention in that process. And something that is very interesting, and from other conversations that I had as well with this, is that it should be used on the parts that slow your work, but don't block your work. And that's the key, because it can be slow, but sometimes it needs to be slow in order to have the best results. So what is your goal with the process that you have right now? For me specifically, my process depends on the product that I'm working on. Depends on the project that I'm working on. And I always like to start with the foundation of the project that I'm working, if it's to have an input clarity. So I have a strategy, I have a problem in mind, I have a hypothesis in mind. Does this hypothesis reply or has the meaning that I want in order to solve the situation? Or does it need to have more or less? How do I need to go? So in clarity in that sense. Then does it have the context aware of what I am? For example, creating a project on a tool like ChatGPT that helps me with a specific project. In that project, does it have enough contextual awareness of what I want? Does it go grab things from the internet that doesn't relate to the project that I'm in? Because that's something that is also interesting. These tools, they gather a lot of information from different places. How do I know that the information that they're giving me, it's actually useful to me, with the links? Okay, perfect. But I still need to see the links to make sure that it's where. So it needs contextual aware to be able to design for the project that I want and not to be the same as the others. And then, does it have user control and constraints? Did I create a target audience for that project? And specifically in order to use this artificial intelligence to do it. And then I like to call something which is the sticky AI, or the part where the AI actually helps me with having this trust. And this is impossible. This is important, because if you want to use artificial intelligence in any part of the process, being using tools or being creating tools, you need to have transparency, you need to create explainability, you need to create feedback loops. Most companies forget about the third one, which is having feedback loops. Users need to have the power to say that this is wrong or this is right in order to create something that is valuable for them. And usually these three trust gaps are forgotten when it's the sticky situation. And then the part where I'm most likely, which is like the glow, like the frictionless value, where you can have the gamification, which is like the surprise, the utility. And I always like to use the example of Duolingo, even though Duolingo right now it's like in kind of a situation, but Duolingo, it has something there in terms of personality at least. Or I can use Slack, for example, which is not in a bad situation right now. But Slack, it has a kind of gamification. A person enters and you click on their not channel, but like on their conversation, it does like the confetti thing. So say hi to this person, you know, it kind of relates. And then for specifically to gamification, when I love gamification, it's very hard to use gamification on products. When you're using products, it's very hard. And that's why I was really interesting, Alexandra, about what you were saying, because it's a very difficult job for UX designers to do. Even if it's not like games, just gamification on a product, it's very tricky when to stop and when not to stop. So yeah, and then when does the workflow pay off? And then the visual reinforcements to the rest. So where do you have the foundation of what you want to use, how you want to use, the sticky AI part of creating the tree that I said, and then the glow, where you actually get to play with everything that you did, being the tools that you use and what you're seeing.
Yeah, AI is basically moving fast. And as you said about like use all the time AI, when we rely on it too heavily, everything starts feel the same also. So yeah. And to wrap up this session, what can we expect from the future of UX and UI? What do you think? AI is in this future? Well, what do you think?
The future of AI, that's a big one, first of all. I guess that there's a really good book that is called Co-Intelligence by Ethan Mollick, this one. And there's another really good book from three people, which is called Reimagined Building Products with Generative AI. These two are very interesting because, first of all, the first one talks about AI as a collaborated, not a replacement. So how the collaboration requires boundaries, and that we are forgetting about those boundaries when we are using right now. And it kind of reminds us of the human compatibility, because when Google appeared, everyone started to go crazy because, oh my God, this tool is going to steal my job. I'm a librarian, for example. People are not going to come to the library anymore because why would they? They can just search for it, you know? And we also need to align on the AI systems with human values and not just efficiency. So I guess there's a long way to go. And specifically to UX designers, personally, I'm not going to say it's not going to happen because I don't know the future, but I can tell you that if that happens, we are going to use the human side. You're going to use the humans, because UX designers are not doing pretty things, or they can do pretty things, but that's not the main goal. The main goal is to create an experience to people. And all these tools that we are using, they need human information in order to give to humans what they want. They are based on knowledge from us, not knowledge from them. They are not creating knowledge. They are receiving knowledge. If we stop giving knowledge, everything, like you were saying, Leticia, will be the same, but not only the same, but it will feel artificial. And you can see cases of people stop using like phones like this and starting to use like the old ones that we used to use when we were growing up, because they don't want to be like using these tools. That's too overwhelming, or it's not, I'm losing myself, you know. There's a lot of people talking about it. So practically I see AI as an empathy amplifier, first of all, and then it helps us design well for what we want, and it can also free people from repetitive tasks, but we should focus on what matters. And designers care. Designers have that empathy, so it can also give this to them, and not like a shiny feature, but a feature that lasts. That's why I love the stickiness of it.
So me, for the future of UX UI, it's more like hopes than prevision or prediction. But as I said, because I I love ethics. So I hope we're gonna have more of that. So that's why it's important for designers when they will build new experiences, services, or products. So hope to see more transparency. We talked a lot about AI today, so try to explain more, to have like a trust index for that maybe, because we will need that. So try to think more about mental health also, because we can see like social network, using like FOMO, fear of missing out, to make you stay on the application or buy more stuff. So I really hope you're gonna go, towards something more respectful for the times, the attention of people. So that's my hope on that side. And we spoke also about gamification today, which I love. That's my research topics too. So for instance, with one of my students, we use, if you know GeoGuessr, we did a GeoGuessr for sustainability. So try to make people think more about how to have better ecology habits and everything. And I'm thinking about another student. We worked on VR, let's say like a Strava, but for boxer, Olympic athletes. So trying to have like the best data for them to improve without getting any injuries. So I see a lot of opportunity with technology. So that's why UX will follow that and bring more empathy, more human side. So I guess I'm still hopeful.
I think we should always, because it's our key to keep going and make a better world. And from all the AI person perspective, my hope is that and it's really derived from the work I've done with user researcher, that we will have more and more collaboration between data people, not only tools, but data people and UX in general, and that we will talk more about not only generative AI can make things better from both sides, but also how we can use data science and in general AI to make things better, faster, and especially have more time to prioritize the human factor, which is, I think, the thing that is the most important for each one. So thank you so much. It was very interesting. Honestly, it has been a pleasure to have you here. Both UX and AI are my two passions. So it was really nice to have your experience here, to hear your thoughts about also the future and the tools that you are using. And I think, Laetitia, you want to say something about this new edition.
Yeah, but first I want to say thank you. I love this conversation. I could spend hours talking about it. I'm leaving everything we talked about with the project I'm involved in. So for sure, I will send you a message later to exchange ideas. And yeah, so quick reminder before we go, the Women Techmakers Montreal Podcast is back for its second edition, right? And you can expect a brand new episode every month. So we'll be covering a variety of topics across tech, design, data, and beyond. And yeah, so stay tuned for the next episodes. And thank you so much, Alexandra. Thank you so much, Madalena. And Steph, you want to say something, right?
Yeah, so we finally can say, because it's official, April 18, Women Techmakers Montreal International Women's Day will come back. We'll be at Collège Maisonneuve. We are going to push the request to have more speakers, more sponsors, and I hope we'll have a lot of fun again on April 18 in Montreal. So stay tuned. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.